Maya manushasya vadasya vadasya vidvan. Maya manushasya vadasya vidvan. Bolo. Isn't it nice? It's like a choir, you know, back and forth. Maya manusha sabadasya vidva. Now we do all the word for word.
We can recite it all together.
Hmm?
We can recite it all together. Like
Oh, together word for word.
Yeah.
Pitamaha, my grandfathers, the five Pandavas, Yudhisthira, Bhima, Arjuna, Nakula, and Sahadev, my Samvare, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra, Amaram Jayai, with fighters who could gain victory over the demigods on the battlefield, Devavrata Adya, Bhishmadev, and others, Atiratai, great commanders-in-chief, Timingalai, resembling great timingil fish, which can easily eat large sharks, Duratyayam, very difficult to cross, Kauravasanya Sagaram, the ocean of the assembled soldiers of the Kauravas, Kritva, considering such an ocean, Ataran, crossed it, Vatsapadam, exactly as one steps over a small hoof print of a calf. Sma, in the past. Yat plavaha, the shelter of the boat of Krishna's lotus feet. Droni, of Ashvatthama, Astra, by the Brahmastra. Viplushtam, being attacked and burned. Idam, this. Patangam, my body. Santana Bijam, the only seed left, the last descendant of the family. Kuru Pandavanam, of the Kurus and the Pandavas, because no one but me lived after the battle of Kurukshetra. Jugopa gave protection. Kukshim, within the womb. Gataha, being placed. Ata Chakraha, taking in hand the disc. Matahu, of my mother. Cha, also. Me, my. Yaha, the Lord who. Sharanam, the shelter. Kataya, taken. Viryani, the glorification of the transcendental characteristics. Tasya, of him, the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Akila Deha Bhajam, of all the materially embodied living entities. Antabhahi, inside and outside. Purusha, of the Supreme Person. Kala Rupai, in the forms of eternal time. Prayatshataha, who is the giver. Mrityum, of death. Uta, it is so said. Amritam cha, and eternal life. Maya Manushasya, of the Lord, who appeared as an ordinary human being by his own potency. Vadasva, kindly describe. Vidvan, O learned speaker. Shukadev Goswami. Translation. And then how do you do that? I'll just read it and then I say, you say that.
You can read, you can ask someone else to read, whatever works.
I can do. Translation. Taking the boat, this is who's speaking? Right. Parikshit Maharaj. Taking the boat of Krishna's lotus feet, my grandfather, Arjuna, and others crossed the ocean of the battlefield of Kurukshetra, in which such commanders as Bhishmadev resembled great fish that could very easily have swallowed them. Who remembers the name of the great fish? Timingal. Once Srila Prabhupada was walking in Hawaii, and I know the beach, it's called Waimanalo Beach, and there's a big rock formation in the water, and it's gigantic. It's like a mountain practically. And so Prabhupada said, that is Timingal. That's the size of the Timingal fish. And it's like, whoa. And they can swallow, Prabhupada said whales. Here he said sharks in the synonym. Okay. By the mercy of Lord Krishna, my grandfathers crossed this ocean, which was very difficult to cross, as easily as one steps over the hoof print of a calf. Because my mother surrendered unto Lord Krishna's lotus feet. Who was his mother? Uttara. Right? And she was being chased by the Brahmastra that Ashvatthama had released. Entered her womb and saved my body. And that's how Parikshit got his name, right? Because he saw Krishna in the womb. Can you imagine seeing Krishna in the womb? Wow. How advanced is that? Seeing God in the womb. Actually, he saw Vishnu, but similar. Entered her womb and saved my body, the body of the last remaining descendant of the Kurus and the Pandavas, which was almost destroyed by the fiery weapon of Ashvatthama. Lord Sri Krishna appearing within and outside of all materially embodied living beings by his own potency in the forms of eternal time, that is, as Paramatma and as Virat Rupa, gave liberation to everyone, either as cruel death or as life. Kindly enlighten me by describing his transcendental characteristics. And then, do we do I say, you say? It's 3 verses. Do you want to do that?
It's up to you, whatever you like.
Okay. Well, I think it's too long.
Yeah.
Anyway, okay, yeah, it is. It's getting late. Okay. So we'll go right to Srila Prabhupada's purport. And Prabhupada starts the purport by quoting a similar verse from Brahma, Lord Brahma. As stated in Srimad Bhagavatam 10:14-58, same meter too. Shamashvitaye padapallavaplabam mahatpadam punya yasho marare bhavam buddhir vatsapadang parang padang yad vipadang natesham. Quote, for one who has accepted the abode of the lotus feet of the Lord, who is the shelter of the cosmic manifestation, and is famous as Murari, or the enemy of the Mura demon, the ocean of the material world is like the water contained in a calf's hoof print. His goal is Parang Padam, or Vaikuntha, the place where there are no material miseries, not the place where there is danger at every step. Close quote. One who seeks shelter at the lotus feet of Lord Krishna is immediately protected by the Lord. As the Lord promises in Bhagavad Gita 1866, Ahang tvang sarva papebhyo mokshayishyami ma shutaha. Quote, I shall deliver you from all sinful reactions, do not fear. Close quote. By taking shelter of Lord Krishna, one comes under the safest protection. Thus, when the Pandavas took shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna, all of them were on the safe side of the battlefield of Kurukshetra. Parikshit Maharaj, therefore, felt obliged to think of Krishna in the last days of his life. This is the ideal result of Krishna consciousness. Ante Narayana Smritihi. If at the time of death one can remember Krishna, one's life is successful. Parikshit Maharaj, therefore, because of his many obligations to Krishna, intelligently decided to think of Krishna constantly during the last days of his life. Krishna had saved the Pandavas, Maharaj Parikshit's grandfathers, on the battlefield of Kurukshetra. And Krishna had saved Maharaj Parikshit himself when he was attacked by the Brahmastra of Ashvatthama. Krishna acted as the friend and worshipable deity of the Pandava family. Moreover, apart from Lord Krishna's personal contact with the Pandavas, Krishna is the super soul of all living entities, and he gives protection and he gives liberation, even if one is not a pure devotee. Kamsa, for example, was not at all a devotee. Yet Krishna, after killing him, gave him salvation. And even better is, who else came to Krishna as an enemy? And then he gave Putana, a whole bucky, whatever it says in the third canto. You see, I saw the painting up there. Who did all those paintings?
Prabhu.
Is he in Toronto?
I'm not sure if he's in Toronto right now, but before 2019. Before that time, I think.
Okay.
I'm not sure. I have to check with Maharaj.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Yeah.
She came to kill him, right? Pretend she was a nurse, and she was a Rakshasi, so she had her, but she could shapeshift, so she could make herself look like a beautiful woman. So Jashoda and all the other elderly gopis, when she came to see Krishna, oh yes, please go see him. He's right in there. And then and then she offered him her breast, and you see in the next painting, leave me, child, leave me, because she not only sucked his breast, she sucked out her life air. But Krishna gave her the same position as Yashoda, Vatsalya Ras, because she's my mother, she gave me her breast to suck, so, wow. Don't try to imitate that, right? But if somebody comes to us as an enemy, we don't, come on friendly. We second Madhyamadikari lets the envious people, wishes them well, from a distance, but doesn't mix with them. We don't, because we don't want to give them a chance to commit more offense. Right? Okay, so we'll just finish the purport here. Krishna consciousness is beneficial to everyone, whether one is a pure devotee or a non-devotee. This is the glory of Krishna consciousness. Considering this, who will not take shelter at the lotus feet of Krishna? Krishna is described in this verse as Maya Manusha, because he descends exactly like a human being. He is not obliged to come here like karmis or ordinary living beings. Rather, he appears by his own internal energy, sambhavam yatma mayaya, just to show favor to the fallen conditioned souls. Krishna is always situated in his original position as Satchidananda Vigraha, and anyone who renders service to him is also situated in his original spiritual identity, Swarupena Vivastitihi. This is the highest perfection of human life. Srila Prabhupada ki. Om Jnana Timarandasya Jnanandjana Shalakaya Chakshurun Militam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. I was born in the darkest ignorance, and my spiritual master is kindly opening my eyes with the torch of knowledge. I offer my respectful obeisances unto him. So, this is really about overcoming fear by taking shelter of Krishna. It's a fearful place. Danger at every step. Just like we were on a walk with Maharaj this morning, and we were in the park, and all of a sudden there were these dark patches, and Maharaj said, "Watch your step, that's genuine dog poo." And that's nothing. I mean, you could, well, in Toronto, we don't get ice and snow. In Tucson, Arizona, we just regard it in the mountains and wave at it, it never comes down to where we are. But you guys have ice and snow. So in the winter, you can really relate to that verse, huh? Whoop. One false step and you're on your back. Overcoming fear. So at 8:15 or 8:20, I have to stop. But since I'm here in Toronto, I'd like to share with you, and I've told a few devotees already, that the original Toronto temple was where I first walked into a Krishna temple. In the spring of 1970, I was a young man, 23 years old. Now the body's 78, so you do the math. Whoa, 55 years. Where did the time go? Holy smoke. So spring of 70, why did I come to Canada? Because there was a big, bad war going on called the Vietnam War, which you've heard of, I'm sure. And it was so controversial. It wasn't like World War II, where we had there was no clear villains. It wasn't like, Hitler was just a madman. Like we have in our White House now, we have another madman. Enough said. Sorry, it's so embarrassing to come from America now. Oh my God. Anyway, sorry about that. We don't like him either. I mean, a lot of. So anyway, so we were, my generation. I was coming of age, in the 60s, and so the Vietnam War was a terrible. It was just a land grab. It wasn't about keeping the world safe from communism. It was an imperialistic land grab by the United States. So we, young people, we were protesting the war. Hell no, we won't go. Like that. And wow, there's so many things I can say about that. And there was a draft. Draft means that we came of a certain age, and the young men, ladies now, are in the U.S. military too. But in those days, it was just men. And so you came of a certain age, and you had to go in the military, unless you were a student. So I entered the University of Connecticut in the fall of '64, and I kept dropping in and out. Why did I go back in? Because I was ill. As soon as I drop out, they want me to go fight in Vietnam, right? So I would just sneak back in and hide, But I didn't none of us liked the war. So finally I dropped out for the third and final time, December '69. And then in the spring of '70, my mother wrote me a letter. I was down in Florida for the winter. I was just a hippie, doing a little work and experimenting with different substances. I survived by Krishna's mercy. And my mother wrote me a letter. She said, "Oh, son, your number came up in the draft lottery. You have to go. The military wants you." Thanks a lot, Mom. See you later. So I hitchhiked all the way to Toronto from Fort Lauderdale, Florida. And what did I find when I got here? I found 10,000 Americans just like me, because Canada was sympathetic to us. They didn't like the Vietnam War either, and so they were welcoming us into Canada. 10,000 of us. So, and I was just a young guy. I didn't have any money, or I didn't know anybody in Canada, but I knew that somebody up there likes me, that somebody is going to protect me. I didn't know anything about Krishna, but I knew there had to be something. And I knew if I just kept looking for the truth, which I didn't find in the university, if I just kept looking for the truth, I would find it. So there were so many of us in Toronto that there was a whole organization called the Toronto Anti-Draft Union. And you go there, I don't know where it was, somewhere downtown, and they tell you, okay, you can go to this rooming house. This is where it's really cheap, to live on Yonge Street. It was somewhere off Yonge. And then also here's a list of all this free soup kitchens where you can get something to eat. So I went to this rooming house, and there was a guy there from Minnesota. And so we would, we didn't have any work. There was a recession on too. Even Canadians are having a hard time getting jobs. So this guy, I forget his name for a minute, he said, "Oh, I know where we can eat today. It's Sunday, and the Krishnas have a free feast every Sunday." Krishnas? Who's that? I didn't know. I did take a course in the philosophy of Eastern religion at UConn, University of Connecticut. And I remember we spent a week on the Gita, and all I remember is Krishna, Arjuna, and Karma. That's all I remember. So I had heard the name Krishna, but that's all. And so we went to the temple, and I remember I talked to Praharna. She was here yesterday doing an interview for Paul. Right, yeah. So I said, and she joined later. She joined in Girard, I think in 72 or something. Oh, and by the way, Shri Chor Gopinath, they were installed in Girard?
Yes.
In 72?
Yeah.
By Prabhupada?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not sure about.
He wasn't there. Okay.
He
Okay.
came to Girard Street though.
He did come in 74? 5?
I think it was 72, it could be, but I might be wrong.
Yeah, okay.
We've heard 72, but there's so many numbers that we hear. But I'm just recalling Shibboleth Prabhu's was Prabhupada was here in 1972.
Okay.
So I'm not sure.
Okay, I'll ask Maharaj, because I think he joined in 72.
Yeah.
Something. Okay, so we went to this temple, and it was painted all different. Now it's just, as Praharna said, it was all redone, but it was like painted perfectly for the time, because it was the time of the counterculture. We were protesting the military-industrial entertainment complex, and we were experimenting with different substances and stuff. So I remember that this building, 40 Beverly, was painted like psychedelic colors. It was painted like lavender and yellow, like something out of Sgt. Pepper. Lonely Hearts Club Band, that doesn't ring a bell with you. That's the Beatles. Okay, but even though I didn't know the place, I didn't know anything about Krishna, as soon as I walked in the temple, everything seemed familiar. There was a picture of Lord Chaitanya dancing on the road, black and white, an Indian print. And there was a picture of Prabhupada with a Swami hat, and he was familiar. And then a American devotee named Jagadish was the president, and his wife Lakshmi Moni, I think you probably know her. She's living near Ottawa, and that rural community near, yeah. Okay, so So Jagadish gave the lecture. I sat down. There was a lecture. And I was very impressed that here's somebody who was very humble. He seemed very knowledgeable. And he wasn't trying to impress me. Just the opposite of my professors at university. You know, I remember my one philosophy professor, the first day of class, he's puffing away on a cigarette. They all smoked in those days. I just thought I'd let you know that I don't know anything. So I'm thinking, well, what am I doing here? He doesn't know anything. This is a joke. But Jagadish knew a lot because he had been reading Prabhupada's Gita, and it was only the abridged lavender or purple Macmillan Gita, Collier Macmillan Gita. We didn't have the rights. The BBT didn't have the rights. It was a Macmillan. And so it was only a third of the manuscript. They were afraid it wouldn't sell if it was too big, you know. So, so I was very impressed with the talk. And then there was RT, and Mother Lakshmi Modi, she was flicking sticks at some colored lights. I didn't know what she was doing artsy. I didn't know that, you know. So there was just on a mantle, there was I guess there were little deities or something. I don't know what it was. I didn't know anything. But then they started, during the kirtan, they were singing Hare Krishna. And that I really knew. Whoa, I knew that. No one had to teach me the mantra. It's like, whoa, I know this. So I felt like I was totally at home. Wow. And then, of course, the feast came, and that was the closer, right? You know, I remember drinking, I had a cup of sweet rice in my left hand. I didn't know you're not supposed to eat with your left hand. I was getting high on sweet rice, right? ISKCON, but so they also said, "Oh, come after 2 weeks." And so I'm going to stop in a sec because we got to. Maybe I should just to be continued. I'll tell you what happened in Boston. The Academy, so to be continued. But I became fearless by taking shelter of Prabhupada's movement. And now, if you have any questions or comments, Mataji.
How long did you chant on those loose beads in the Brahma?
You mean at one time? Or you mean?
No, like how long?
Oh,
did
I
you
see.
chant
Yeah, I
for
see what
how
you
many
mean.
years?
Yeah.
And when did you get your normal beads?
Yeah. Okay, so let's see, I got there in April to Toronto, and I think I went to the temple in May, and I went back to the States in June. So it wasn't more than a month that I was, paper bag, sadhaka. There were no, I guess they had bead bag. See, in those days, like if you hear the Lilamrita, you know that the way they used to buy beads at bead shops, Tandy's bead shop at near 22nd Avenue. And then they'd string their own beads. That's what Prabhupada had them do, out of some strong cord or something. And because Prabhupada said, so today's Janmashtami and tomorrow's initiation, they didn't know what Prabhupada meant. Far out, man, yeah, initiation, what is that? I don't know. Let's do it, So it was about a month.
Maharaj said that you do a very wonderful imitation of Srila Prabhupada, and no one in entire ISKCON does that. Could you show us some?
Well, but I get in trouble for that.
Oh, really?
Yeah.
We can turn off the camera.
Okay, well, you asked me, when did I get real beads?